Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Red Zone Radio Sports here on WQBQ 1410, the voice of Lake County. We're sponsored by Bill Bryant Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram. And today we have a special guest host, Mr. Bob Murphy. How are you today, sir?
Thank you very much for having me. I haven't been on here for a few months.
No.
I think, what was it, like back in December, I decided to take a little break, I guess.
Right. You got a lot of things going on in your life now, huh?
I do. Since I've seen you in December, I found out that my daughter is getting married next March.
Nice.
I'm all excited about that.
Right.
And also, I found out I'm going to be a grandpa.
Nice.
My son Aaron and his beautiful wife Gloria are going to have their first child in October, so I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
That's going to be pretty cool.
Too young to be a grandfather.
Got to figure out what kind of sport they're going to play. Whether it's going to be golf or tennis or something. Of course.
I'm going to beat up your son if he tries to teach him soccer.
Yeah? Oh, yeah. Well, it probably will happen. I know you love soccer.
Yeah.
That's one of your favorite
things. Yeah, we talk about that in the fourth hour.
Well, I hope I can not be too rusty because, I do understand there's a lot of openings up at ESPN right now. And maybe we could possibly find our way there. As long as we don't talk about politics.
Well,
okay? I'm not going to talk about politics.
I think you have to if you're ESPN, and you have to.
Oh, that's right. You have to.
You have to do lefty politics.
That's right. There's only one side. One size fits all, I guess.
That's right.
Let's talk about that real quick.
Okay.
Since we brought it up, I wasn't surprised at all about these layoffs up there this past week. 100, including on-air guys, were let go, and big names. People are, over the course. I've been watching the NBA season and different things. I don't want to sit there and listen to two former NBA players scold me about who I voted for president.
Right.
Or I don't want to sit there and listen to them tell me about some bathroom law up in North Carolina and why it's a good thing they're moving the Pro Bowl to Orlando. I don't want to hear that.
Yeah.
I go to sports to listen to sports.
Right. It's an escape.
Exactly.
I don't want to throw it in my
sports
face
is really not reality.
And the other thing is too, you're alienating, close to 50% of your audience.
Right.
I mean, and I would actually say that sports viewers probably tend to be a little right of center.
Yeah, well, sure.
Middle America, really.
A lot of young people don't watch sports on TV.
Right.
They're out doing stuff. They're on, it's a lot of us old guys that are watching sports, mostly like you said, the demographics of it.
Yeah.
And you start, I'll tell you, I get to a point sometimes where I say, you know what? You can just take all your games. I love watching the NBA.
Right.
I love watching, pro baseball. But you know what? If they keep getting political, I'll turn it all off.
Yeah.
I won't watch a thing of it.
Yeah, right. And right now it's a lot of mixed feelings because I love sports too, and I just don't want to be force-fed lefty politics.
And
and quite frankly, I don't want to hear the right.
I don't want to hear right. That's
Yeah.
right. I don't want to hear that either. I don't want to hear that. It's not just left or right.
Right.
It's politics in general.
Yeah.
And social issues. You have to agree with this or else.
Yeah.
I mean, and you're chastised if you're look at Kurt Schilling.
Yeah.
I mean, that comes to mind.
Yeah.
That really made me mad when I see him kicked off the network. Why? Because he has a different opinion?
Yeah.
Come on.
Right.
That's ridiculous. What kind of this country's going crazy.
Yeah.
You can't have a certain opinion. I mean, isn't free speech something that should be applauded, not denigrated?
You would think, but apparently there's only one side of free speech.
I guess so. Well, anyway, so we got that off our chest.
Well, I'm sure it's going to crop up more in the show too, because
you never know. Anything's possible.
Because we always wind up, or I do anyway. I always take that social and political stuff. And
oh yeah. Well, don't get too social.
You can't help it, because I look at it this way. What I talk about really is, when I do go down that path, really is a rebuttal to every other sports show, on the air.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's all lefty politics.
Right.
So it's like I don't want to say I'm the lone voice in the
Well,
woods,
they start losing all their the NFL
right.
with the Colin Kaepernick thing.
Yeah.
That really was a big deal. They lost a lot of viewership there,
Yep.
although they don't want to admit that.
Right.
They'll never admit
No.
that that's the reason.
Right.
They'll never admit it. All that. At least Linda Cohn had enough guts, who's been with ESPN for 28 years.
Yeah.
She said, if they think that it's not about politics, they're fooling themselves.
Right.
I couldn't believe she said it, but she did.
Yeah.
And I give her credit for that.
Yep.
Okay? And so I was really happy to see that. But I'll tell you, I was week in and week out, I'm just like shaking my head. I can't sit here and listen to these commentators.
Right.
I want to listen to the commentary about what the game is about to be played is going to be like. Okay? I don't want to sit there and listen about their 4 minutes of political to get it in. So
right.
it's just and good for the viewers. I'm thankful that people are turning off.
Yeah.
Because if they lose the viewership, then they're going to lose the sponsors, and then they won't have the salaries, and they won't have a sport.
Right.
They won't have a sport.
Yep. And that's that should be something that the executives of the leagues or the team owners should really look at. Is to stop these these contracts like ESPN, and they should say no politics,
and then
no politics zone.
And then now they're prodding these star athletes to become more of a voice for their political activism.
And it's funny because it brings up there are some quotes by Michael Jordan, and he doesn't even really talk about why he's not political very much, but the reason is he doesn't want to alienate kids or people who want to buy his stuff that he endorses or puts his name on, and which is you look at Michael Jordan. I'm not sure if he's a billionaire, but he's one of the wealthiest athletes.
Right.
He's pretty close, and you look at the way he led his life.
Right.
I don't know what he vote, who he votes for or whatever, and quite frankly, I really don't care.
Right.
And then you look at like Colin Kaepernick, who probably might be out of football.
Yeah, and that's another thing they're commenting on. Are they keeping him out because of political reasons?
Well, they should.
They are.
Yeah.
That's right.
I don't want him on my team.
So. That's right. Yeah. I wouldn't either. I wouldn't want to poll. They'll put down Tim Tebow for his polarizing and all his entourage that comes and they want to see him and do all that.
Right.
But they'll say that Colin Kaepernick's fine to have on the team. I mean, come on, you can't have it.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And it goes back to as long as you're doing what the lefties like, you're fine.
Yeah.
But anything they don't like, you better, then you're.
But
chilling.
I don't have a problem with their voice.
No, and
I don't have a problem with that. But don't cut off everyone else's voice.
Right, and the other thing is that's not your platform. That belonged like in the case of Colin Kaepernick. If he was going out there on his own or with his people and was talking about all of his issues and stuff, that's fine. Don't go into the NFL's house and then be rude and insulting, because when he kneels to the national anthem, my country's national anthem, I am highly outraged. I don't use the word offended because it's just that's another sissy word.
It's tossed around a lot by the
snowflakes are offended.
Yeah.
I'm outraged.
Right.
And it's crazy. Anyway.
Absolutely.
So we've got the NFL draft. It's done, or is it still going more?
Oh no,
days?
it's into the fourth round. They did the third round, up to the third round last night.
Right. And then we got
a lot of stars that you may not, a lot of teams know. These GMs have got these players. They know exactly who's left and who's on what teams and stuff like that.
I didn't. I really haven't. I don't really follow the NFL draft really closely, but you read stuff,
Right.
And I was reading an article that these, what is it? Not the fantasy. These guys that do the draft predictions, I guess.
Yeah.
Whatever they call it, draft. I'll call it draft predictions. really have
the
not.
mock
Mock
drafts,
draft, that's
like
it.
Mel Kiper Jr.
Right. And apparently not very many correct mock drafts.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there were a few surprises. At number 2, the Bears trading up to get Mitchell Trubisky from North Carolina, the quarterback. I mean, like, is he worthy of the number 2 pick in the draft?
Right.
I don't think so.
I heard during the.
I mean, Jay Cutler is history, but
Right.
you know.
I heard that at the Bulls game when they announced that
Oh,
pick,
yeah. Oh,
everybody
God.
started to boo.
Oh, God. Oh, my God. They would have been better off getting a Leonard Fournette or something like that, I would think, and build around him.
Right.
But anyway, so we don't have to.
Well, your team is the Minnesota Vikings.
It is.
Anything special that they did?
Actually, they didn't have a first-round pick because I had given that to Philly
Right.
for Sam Bradford, which is fine.
Right.
I understood their reasoning at the time with
Right.
Teddy Bridgewater's injury. But I love what they did in the second round, picking up the running back from I don't have my second-round picks here.
Right.
They picked up the running back from Florida State,
Right.
who has a lot of baggage, but he is one of the top. Let me see if I get the second round here.
Right.
He's one of the top running backs, if not the best running back.
Yeah.
Him and Fournette were the top 2. They picked him up in the second round. Now, that's what Minnesota needed. They lost Peterson. They let him go. They picked up.
He hasn't picked up on a team yet, has he?
Yes, he just did.
Oh, did he?
Yes, he just signed with New Orleans Saints.
Ah, okay.
And guess who they played? The New Orleans Saints, the first game of the
Gotta
season.
be the Vikings.
That's right. and oh man, that's going to be a good game.
Right.
I can't wait for me anyway to see that game.
Right.
That's a good pickup for the Saints. Drew Brees has a little more of an option.
Yeah.
He doesn't have a passing option with Peterson because he doesn't catch the ball out of the backfield. But he is a good back for them to rely on a little bit more than just going back and pass every time.
Yeah. The problem is Drew Brees. He doesn't really like handing off the ball, though. Kind of like a Marino.
Yeah.
He's more interested in 4,000 yards a game or whatever it is.
Uh-huh.
4,000 a season. I mean.
That's right. Yeah. So the Vikings also were needing to pick up. They had gotten a couple of guys. Their offensive line was atrocious. That was the reason the whole season went under last year. So they picked up a couple of free agent offensive linemen, which are decent. They weren't unbelievable stars, but they're decent players.
Right.
And then of course, they drafted. I can't think of his name.
That's why it drives me crazy because there's so many names.
But this guy,
but I'm
running
just
back
saying,
for FSU is just a crazy good player.
Right.
But he had so much baggage, and that's why he dropped into the second round.
Right.
Definitely a top 10 pick potentially. And he dropped into their laps. They took him. They're taking a chance. But the Vikings have done this before. I mean, Randy Moss came out of college with a lot of baggage.
Right.
He turned out to be a Hall of Fame player.
Right.
Chris Carter they picked up from Philly after a lot of trouble in Philly. They straightened him out, became a Hall of Fame player. So they have a history of their doing this.
Yeah.
Hopefully it works good. This kid, to get him out of Miami, where he's from, and all the influences that he has down there, up to Minnesota, they're hoping that. But certainly player-wise and the talent-wise, he's as good as almost as good as when Peterson came out of Oklahoma.
Right.
He's a very, very good player, and and then they picked up the starting center the Vikings picked up for, which was an All-American, the number 1 center in the draft from Ohio State, and to add to the other pickups they had in free agency. So their O-line should be a lot more improved, potentially.
Yeah.
And then you add the new running back, and they had Murray, Jatavius Murray from Oakland they had picked up as well. So they got now a two-headed monster at running back. They had the lowest running yards in the NFL last year. Now they got 2 really good running backs and have shored up that offensive line. So add that to the receivers and Sam Bradford and that defense, and maybe we got something going. Who knows? Okay, enough of the Vikings. How How about your teams? What do you think?
I didn't really look.
Yeah?
I know they picked up some defensive guys, which they truly needed. But I don't remember their names.
Well, I'll tell you about who they picked up after this break.
All
here.
right. You are listening to Red Zone Radio Sports here on WQBQ 1410, the voice of Lake County. We are sponsored by Bill Bryan, Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram. They're located at 3401 U.S. Highway 441 in Fruitland Park. Their phone number is 352-787-2223. And speaking of 441, make sure if you're out there, watch out for those motorcycles. It is Bike Week here in Leesburg, Florida. And we will be right back after these messages from our sponsors. We are back with Red Zone Radio Sports here on WQBQ 1410, the voice of Lake County, and we're talking a little NFL draftage.
Yes, we were.
So, what else? You were going to make fun of my teams.
Well, the player I was talking about, of course, earlier was Delvin Cook. For the second round, the Vikings had picked him up. He had dropped into the second round,
right,
which was unbelievable because for his talent. But
yeah.
If they can straighten the young man out and make sure that he's, they took a chance on him like they've done it before, and hopefully. But what a pickup! What a pickup in the second round to get him. And of course, a lot of people who are FSU fans in this area, I'm sure, are rooting for him as well, and hopefully he can keep his life straight. We're going to get into.
I did see there a lot of Gators drafted, a lot of FSU guys. You got some good programs there, obviously. That, produce a lot of NFL.
Yeah,
a lot of NFL guys.
Absolutely.
So they should be proud of that.
Well, the Browns, with the number 1 pick, took Myles Garrett, the defensive end out of Texas A&M.
Right.
I mean, that's they're building the team. There really wasn't anybody. I mean, if anybody was going to take a quarterback, it should have been them, right? I mean, they've got Brock Osweiler as their starter this year. I mean, that's a kind of an underwhelming thing to think about.
Yeah, but there are really no quarterbacks.
I know
that's
true
in this draft.
True. You might as well go for the star position player.
Yeah, and they're so messed up. I think they did the right thing by choosing the best player at that pick.
But I mean, you could have made an argument that they could have taken Leonard Fournette to have a star runner. I mean, if they're going to have a quarterback that's going to manage a team, why not have a star running back like that?
Yeah, I don't know. I think running backs are not. They've lost a lot of the luster. The game has kind of changed.
Right, it's become a pass-happy league. I realize that, but still, in their case, they need to have more of a play-action type of a team because they haven't got the great quarterback. So the Jets, they took Jamal Adams, the safety out of LSU. That's a good pick for them.
Mm-hmm.
Really fast safety, good in coverage, good tackler.
Right.
Who else? You like the Giants, you say, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what the Giants did.
Oh, they picked up I think they had a second-round pick.
I know they just picked up Odell Beckham's option. So
they picked up a quarterback from Cal.
Yeah, that's right.
So they actually called Eli Manning up and said, we're going to draft him.
Right.
That was nice.
Yeah.
Give him some consideration.
Right.
In case there's of course, Eli is getting up there.
Yeah.
How old is he?
I think he's like 37.
Okay, so, how many more years has he got left? Maybe this is it.
Yeah.
Or next year, at least the next couple. They probably should have got someone before this and brought him in and just started like the Patriots. The Browns wanted Jimmy Garoppolo from the Patriots.
Right.
They were dangling that number 1 pick. They actually, someone said I thought I heard someone say they actually drafted Myles Garrett so that the Patriots would take him from them and they would get Jimmy Garoppolo. That's how much they think of Jimmy Garoppolo.
Right. What's amazing about those backup quarterbacks, when they go to a different team, they usually don't do very well.
Mm-hmm.
They always say the most popular
Yep.
player on the team is the backup quarterback.
Right.
And-
Well, they're in a certain system
Yeah.
where they have maybe they have come from a great team. Like
Right.
remember Mike Flynn
Yeah.
several years ago with the Green Bay.
Yeah.
You know, he goes out to Seattle and falls on his face.
Yeah.
You know, doesn't do anything. Happens a lot.
Yeah.
You got same thing in you got running backs that will do good. What was the one? I forget the guy's name for Dallas a couple of years ago. Then he went to Philadelphia, couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
And of course, Dallas has probably arguably the best
Line.
offensive line in
Right.
football.
And that's what they're saying, like with Ezekiel Elliott.
Right.
Or wait,
Yeah,
Elliott.
you're right.
Yeah. Okay. That he just has such a that Dallas has such a great line.
Yeah.
They open up holes for that
Yeah.
for that guy, and if he were to go to another team, it'd be the same
That's
situation with who I can't remember his name either.
You could put Marcus Allen in there,
Yeah.
and he'd still run through the line.
Right. Right. Probably
Potentially.
would.
But so anyway, so the draft is interesting. If you know your teams, you know your team's need.
Yeah.
Like I said, I knew what the Vikings need, and
Well,
so we get into the fourth round. It's not worth really sitting around watching much.
Right. What I just still find it funny that all these guys in the mock draft and how incorrect
Right.
they've been. So
Well, yeah, they'll pick a
interesting.
certain player based on their skill level or how they shoot up the board at the combine or something.
Yeah.
But when it comes down to it, character issues have play into it as well.
Right.
Sometimes they're last-minute character issues that they find out about.
Yeah.
So yeah, but they don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
Basically. So how about
and that's what ESPN should fire those guys. That,
Yeah.
Because that actually kind of bothers me. Like, there's no, and I know it's only sports,
Right.
but these guys that are like continuously wrong, but they keep their jobs. I don't because it's kind of the way that they present it, as if they're the gurus and they're right and the teams are wrong. It's because again, I know it's sports and it's not real life,
right.
but it's just it's not worth firing somebody over. But I just find it funny that they should like be flashing up his percentage in the past. It's like,
When I listen to occasionally I put on the ESPN radio driving around
Can
because
of
I'm
radio.
just listening to see what's going on. But oh man, Dan Lebertar.
right.
Awful, man. I mean, and everybody says he's awful. He even says all the people give me letters. He doesn't talk about sports.
Right.
He doesn't want to talk about the draft. He doesn't want to talk about major league teams. He talks about social and political stuff
Right.
all the time.
Right.
And it's like, what the heck? And yet he thinks it's a funny thing, and he actually he thinks it's great that people don't like him,
Right.
that doesn't like their show. If they don't, usually it used to be that when you didn't like your show, you didn't stay on. The show didn't stay on.
Yeah, I'll tell you another guy that I don't like, and he's a local guy, but he's in the number one mark, and that's Mike Francesa.
Oh yeah,
And people may know him from
Mike and the Mad Dog.
Yeah,
New York market. Yeah.
right. But nationally, he used to do a college football show,
Yeah.
and so people down here may have heard of him, and I know they do some simulcasts in some regions, but I don't get how that guy is so
Well,
popular.
he's so obnoxious and full of himself.
Yeah.
And it's hard to listen to him.
Yeah.
Don't you want to? What do you want to hear? Okay, here we are talking on the radio.
Right.
But what do you want to hear? You want to hear something that's informative, that's fun,
Right.
that's that they can have tell a joke once in a while or something. Of course, I don't know which one of us is going to tell a joke today.
Right.
Maybe me. I don't know. We'll see.
I don't have any off the top of my head.
But I'm just saying, you don't want to hear politics.
Right.
You don't want to hear about different things. You want to just hear about some fun stuff, about what's going on with your teams,
Right.
what's going on in sports. You don't want to hear all this negative stuff. And he's a negative personality. He fights against all his colleagues and
Yeah.
people that he's worked with. I mean,
Right.
yet he does well. He gets a lot of listeners. Maybe because he's such a lightning rod. I don't know.
That's what I don't understand, because I find he's unlistenable to me.
Mm-hmm.
I just can't listen to him. You know, he's actually not like a, I don't want to say a polished broadcaster because I'm not polished obviously, but there's just something about.
That's for sure. I can tell that.
Thank you.
I'm just like you though.
But it's like he's just worse.
Yeah.
He's worse. Like it's like you want to hear that all like every show.
Yeah.
So, and it's funny because there's a, I have a Twitter account and I follow a lot of sports.
You have a Twitter account?
Yeah, you need to open up one of those because
Really?
it's actually a lot of fun. But
Yeah.
so I follow.
Whatever.
There's Bob's Blitz, which is it's a website in New York, and he is merciless on Mike Francesa, and it's really funny.
Yeah.
And so I like I like reading like his little 140 character quips about Mike Francesa, but he's the number one guy in that market, which is surprising. But that just shows you how bad ESPN is because they also have a station in New York as well, and they do really, really badly.
Yeah, it's too bad because there are some really talented people there but they have to toe the company line,
right.
And so now they're seeing the result of it.
Yeah.
So hopefully they get their act together and become what they used to be.
Yeah.
A guy like Chris Berman who's retiring.
Right.
He's a guy who's always been fun. That whole network used to be fun.
Yeah.
That's why they were so successful because they were out of the box fun. They did crazy things.
Right.
I mean, they even a lot of their commercials over the years, with Arnold Palmer walking through the cafeteria with his caddy, getting a little iced tea, getting a little lemonade, and then the guys commenting behind him, and all the sports stars sitting in their cubicles, acting like they're a sales agent for ESPN, like Bo Jackson sitting there or something. That's what people like.
Yeah.
Why don't you key in on that?
Yep.
Stop this political junk and get back to being the fun network you were before.
Yeah, and also you kind of had to shift. Like nobody really sat around and watched SportsCenter anymore,
right?
Because you got your scores.
Right. Well,
I mean the whole
right.
The way people consume sports has changed. In the advent of smartphones and
exactly.
stuff.
I have my iPhone. And of course, my wife is always mad at me for being on it all the time. But it's an unbelievable source of. I know exactly who's playing what time. I'll just check it real quick.
Yep.
Or I'll be out. I'll check it real quick. You know what's going on.
Yeah.
You can do other things.
Yeah.
You don't have to be home watching TV.
Right.
I could be out and doing anything.
Yep.
In just 2 seconds, I look down to see what the score is or see what's going on. Turn it, get rid of it.
Yeah.
Even at work or whatever.
Right.
You can do that. And you never used to be able to do that. You used to have to run home and watch TV.
Yeah. Yep.
So that has really hurt television. So,
right. And they really haven't adjusted to that in my view.
Mm-hmm.
You see like Fox Sports, and I don't mean like like their football games, but I mean like what is it, FS1?
Yeah. Right. Fox Sports.
Yeah, and they kind of do like goofy shows on there. They've got some different like a different concept of shows, and I'm not saying that they're successful or whatever, but at least it seems like they're trying to be different because, like I said, you don't need to watch SportsCenter. And I actually I follow sports on YouTube, so you put in like NHL YouTube, and they do a 3-minute little video on all the games. Each. So if you're interested, say like the Rangers are playing Ottawa, they have like a 3-4 minute highlight of the game.
Right.
So it's like I don't have to sit through watching the Los Angeles Kings because I'm not might not really be interested in it. So I watch I choose the Rangers games and I watch that and I'm done.
That's it.
3 minutes and I'm satisfied.
You get all the highlights you want to see, and you're off, and you can do the rest of your life.
Right.
Well, as we get older,
and I could do it on my smartphone.
When we were younger, I guess if you were younger, like in our day when we were younger, we'd sit there and watch all these games. Mm-hmm. And now,
Well,
it's retirees who are watching all the sports a lot. Watch the whole game. They'll watch the whole game, and we're busy living our lives, doing this, doing that. And we're going to pick up the highlights, So it's gotten worse for television because a lot of the young people today, in our day, we'd watch all those games.
Yeah.
But now they're off doing something else.
Yeah.
Yep. And for the most part.
Right.
So anyway, we got the NBA playoffs going on.
Yeah, I didn't follow that.
Oh, you don't follow that? Well,
but you can talk about that.
I wouldn't mind.
I'll listen.
About it.
I'll ask some questions.
Yeah. Well, last night was a big game. Oh, which one do I want to talk about here?
Utah Jazz.
Yes. Can you believe Utah Jazz are playing that well? They're in the seventh game.
Right.
With the Clippers. And the Clippers had to win that game. They almost came back and won that game last night. The Clippers were up 10 with a couple minutes left. Yeah. They almost blew that game. Boy, the Clippers, you talk about a team that's been together for several years now.
Right.
Several years with the same core lineup. If they were to lose this, I'm a Knick fan. I can see Carmelo Anthony going to that team big time.
Right.
And that's what they need. They don't have that. Of course, Blake Griffin is oft injured. He's injured quite a bit. And but he's the star, one of the stars, along with Chris Paul on that team. But it just isn't clicking. You would think it would be, but it's not.
Yeah.
They can't get past the first or second round of the playoffs.
Right.
And of course, that's going to the Game 7 with Utah.
Yeah.
And when you look at Utah, Utah has one thing that happened to them too. Their starting center, Rudy Gobert, which is a shot blocking machine. Excuse me.
Okay.
Yes, couldn't get it right. He is out for the next game, for the seventh game. So that's going to really hurt them.
Right.
So DeAndre Jordan for the Clippers should have his way in that one a little bit more. So they got Golden State has already finished off Portland 4-0, and they're waiting for the winner of this series.
Right.
I think they'll easily get through the winner of this next series. I don't think Golden State will have any trouble with the Clippers or the Jazz to get to the Western Conference Final. In the Western Conference semis, you've also got Houston and San Antonio. Now that's going to be a series. That's going to be a really good series.
Right.
Houston beat OKC 4-1. There's a team who's a one-dimensional team. Russell Westbrook. He has all these record-setting, triple doubles all season, but he has nobody else really to pick up the scoring slack. Victor Oladipo was the second guy. We'll pick up this after the break, but Victor Oladipo is 15 points a game. He needs someone else.
Yeah.
That's a star on that team.
Right.
Could it be a Carmelo Anthony going there? We'll talk about that after the break.
You think he's going to go somewhere?
Oh, absolutely. They've already said they'll be trying to trade him this summer.
Right. Okay. You are listening to Red Zone Radio Sports here on WQBQ 1410, the voice of Lake County. We are sponsored by Bill Bryant Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram. They are located at 3401 U.S. Highway 441 in Fruitland Park. Their phone number is 352-787-2223, and you can call that number if you need even an oil change or some servicing on your vehicle, and they do any make or model. But we'll be right back after these messages from our sponsors. We are back with our Red Zone Radio Sports here on WQBQ 1410, the voice of Lake County. And we're going to be finishing up, I guess, the NBA playoffs here. And
we were talking a little bit about some of the matchups here in the NBA playoffs. Of course, we were just talking about Houston and San Antonio. Boy, that's going to be a great series. I really wouldn't know how to pick that one. The history of the Spurs with Greg Popovich and Kawhi Leonard and LaMarcus Aldridge, Paul Gasol. Tony Parker is kind of an aged point guard, although he's had a little bit of a resurgence in the playoffs.
Right.
But I'll tell you, with James Harden and all them shooters they got there, Ryan Anderson and so forth, and I really think that could go 7 games. That's gonna be a tough. Like I said, Golden State in the other semi against either the Clippers or the Jazz should have no trouble at all. No trouble at all in that series. Take it from me. Okay, over in the Eastern Conference, another really good series is going to be, of course, Boston finishing off Chicago. Now that series, Boston-Chicago, they won 4-2 over Chicago. Chicago was up 2-0 in that series when they had Rajon Rondo playing like he did back in the Celtics days. And then when he got hurt after Game 2, it was over. He was the main reason. He was shutting down Isaiah Thomas and given the rest of the players an opportunity, Jimmy Butler and company, Meritic, to really excel. And once he went down with an injury, that was it. He was the glue that was making that thing go. And then Washington, of course, with their fabulous backcourt of John Wall and Bradley Beal. Again, Atlanta, that series could have gone either way, but Washington has stepped up with that backcourt I mentioned, and Gortat, their center, is a real force underneath. So that's going to be a good series. That should be a good series. I think I'll pick Boston in 6 or 7. Let's go 7. That's going to be a tough series.
Right.
Here's a series that I'm looking forward to probably the most is Toronto and Cleveland. Okay, well, Toronto didn't have much against. They played them last year, I believe, and they got blown away by Cleveland. But a couple of things happened to Toronto at the trade deadline that have really improved this team. They picked up P.J. Tucker, a small forward with tremendous defensive ability. He'll be guarding LeBron James much of the game. Now, he won't completely shut him down. Well, he will slow him down. Much better than Terrence Ross that was there who went to the Magic. Much better than what he could do. And he'll certainly slow him down. And Serge Ibaka is another one who can help slow down Kevin Love. I really think he's a much better player to be guarding on Kevin Love. So that series with those two moves, and those two moves were done because they saw the Cavs in the future.
Right.
And I believe that they have a real shot at taking down the Cavs in this series. With Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan offering up most of the scoring load, for the most part. Right. They got plenty of scoring on the team. It's defense. They needed to be able to stop Cleveland. I think with Ibaka and P.J. Tucker, they've really addressed that, and that's going to be a much more interesting series than people give it credit for. So that's where we're at with the playoffs right now. We're into except for one series, which goes to the 7th game. We're in the semifinals in both conferences.
So you really think that Toronto is going to give Cleveland?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Yes, I do. For the reasons I just mentioned.
No, I know.
I think defensively they're just a different team. They made these trades to match up well with Cleveland, and Cleveland, has had its problems late in the season here. They haven't been steamrolling teams.
But they,
I know they sit players and they rest players, but still, their chemistry wasn't on.
Right.
And plus, I'd like to see LeBron James lose.
Right.
Excuse me. Did I say that? I didn't mean to say that.
Yes, you did.
I know someone up in Gainesville just shouted when I said that. I know a friend of mine up there who can't stand LeBron James. I've been back and forth with him, and everybody was down on him the first few years, and I said, okay, enough is enough. I'm gonna start rooting for him a little bit, and so he wanted his championship in Cleveland. Okay, that's it. Goodbye. Right. That's it. No more. But then he got political.
Right.
Okay. We're not going to talk about what he said, but he started jumping on the political bandwagon. I said, okay, I'm back to not rooting for him anymore.
Right.
Okay. So that's how I figure things out, I guess. But that's the NBA right now.
He's a guy I think when his career is over, you're not going to hear much of him.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Because
Really?
I'm going to say this.
Really?
I don't really think he's that bright of a guy.
Well, I don't know that. I can't say that.
Well, I
No,
listen.
I think he's
I
pretty
listen
bright.
to him. I know. I mean, I think he's average. He's an average
Yeah.
guy.
Right.
But I, like, I don't think he's like a polished guy like Michael Jordan. I don't think like I don't know. I've seen him in some commercials, and they don't really resonate with me. I don't know.
Yeah.
Just
No, I think
maybe
he's-
because I'm not a big fan of his to begin with. So
Yeah. No, I think he's. I don't think he's a dumb guy at all. I think he's.
Well, I think he's just an average. I mean,
Okay.
and I don't want to say, like he never went to college, which is not a big deal because,
No.
but
not in today's day and age.
no, but
college isn't as
but I
big as it used to be.
Right, and I also think that he was so coddled when he was a high school player,
Right.
that he has a different like mindset than a lot of other
Well,
people.
Okay. People may not like him because of his way he talks or the politics or whatever, but you have to admit, as a player, he's one of the greatest players of
absolutely.
all time.
Yeah, you take him off.
He would be.
You take him
he's
off the Cavaliers, they don't
absolutely
make the
top
playoffs.
10, possibly top 5
Right.
in the NBA history.
No,
Who has done
no question.
at his size? I mean, probably the guy his size previous to this was Magic Johnson
Right.
at 6'8", but Magic Johnson, LeBron James is Magic Johnson on steroids.
Right.
He is just an incredible force.
Sure.
It changes. Look, he goes to a team that was one of the worst teams in the NBA,
Right.
and makes them an NBA champion.
Yeah, I mean, if he's not on that team, they win 20 games.
Yeah, I mean, he's one of the best players of all time. Period.
No doubt.
There are players who a lot of people haven't liked over the years. Karl Malone comes to mind. A lot of players never liked him, but certainly he's one of the top 4 power forwards,
Right.
maybe in the game, of the history of the game.
Can I?
You know,
Okay, I'm gonna.
I know I'm going down the NBA road with
No,
you, and you don't really
No, but
care about that much.
No, but I wanted to make a
go ahead, sir.
negative comment about
okay.
the NBA. So
Oh, sure.
I don't like the finals. I don't. I know you.
You don't like the finals?
No, too many teams make it
Oh, too many teams.
because there's too many teams that have no chance.
Right.
And like there's no 7 and 8 teams that made it through the first round.
Mhm.
And it always seems that once in a while you'll get somebody on a good run, or somebody that they're playing gets injured and
Right.
gives them an opening, but
Well,
they're usually exposed. And I know you're going to bring up what the 1928 Knicks
No,
or
I'm
whatever.
not gonna,
so
I'm going to
stuff-
bring up the 1999 Knicks
Yeah, I know.
with Allen Houston and
Yeah,
LaProsse
well,
Sprewell.
yeah.
They were a number 8 seed,
Right.
made it to the NBA Finals.
Yep.
Probably coulda, shoulda won over
Right.
Houston.
And I know, but see, it's kind of the exception that proves the rule.
Yeah.
'Cause it's like you got to go back to 1999 before, I mean, it's,
Yeah.
And I'll say that, I love hockey in the NHL. The NHL also, I think too many teams make it. But
Yeah.
in the NHL, those 8th seed teams have gone on. I mean, you it's a lot more competitive, and it just doesn't seem like in the NBA the higher seeded teams to the lower ones, it's usually not competitive,
Right.
and it just seems like that all of the time.
Yeah.
So I know they won't do it because it makes them a lot of money. So I'm not,
Yeah. Well, that's
But
true.
but I'll watch
It's a money thing.
Yeah, and I'll start to watch it now. I mean, I'll
Well,
after
just-
this first round, I'll pay closer attention because you just see these first and second and third and fourth teams
Well, you
are
have-
all playing one another.
You have a lot of teams that were on the bubble. They could see the writing on the wall
Yeah.
of the NBA playoffs, right?
Right.
And they're looking at it going, okay, should we really make a push for that 8th seed, or shall we kind of tank a little bit of the season
Yeah.
to get a better draft pick?
Right.
That's what they're thinking.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah, I know. That's a big criticism.
Let's start.
Of
Here we are.
NBA.
We're sitting. We got a certain number of games left. Maybe we got 25 games left, 30 games left.
Right.
We're 8 games out of the final spot. We could still push. Maybe there's 6 or 7 games out of it.
Right.
Maybe we can make a push, but no. Let's kind of maybe back off the pedal a little bit, play some of these younger players, and let the season kind of slide by, see what we got,
Right.
and with these younger players, and go ahead and get a better draft pick.
Right.
And that happens a lot too. So the teams that wind up being the 8th seed may not be the one that should have been there.
Yeah.
And you're right. I mean, I understand, but still, well, look at Utah, right?
Yeah.
They're in the 7th game.
Right.
Utah.
Yeah.
There's a good point. Probably someone has been shouting at us out in the radio world there, saying, "What about Utah?"
Right.
Well, that's Utah's given the Clippers, and they could wind up taking the series.
Sure.
So,
but moving on to with the Clippers, who do they play if they win that?
they'll play Golden State.
Right. So they're not going anywhere. So they won't be
Sure.
going. I mean that would be a huge upset if Utah won and then beat Golden State.
Well, then we would be talking about maybe they could win the championship if they did that.
Yeah.
But I just don't see them having enough offensive weapons on that team,
Right.
To do that. Not with the Currys and
Right.
and Durant's and all them. I just can't see that.
Yeah. Don't bang on the table.
Draymond Green.
Right.
Defensively, the Golden State just has such a great mix of defensive players and offensive players and bench players.
Right.
I mean, they bring. See, that's where a lot of teams they might have a good starting 5, but they don't match up. Their second units don't match up with the other team's second units, and they'll wind up getting behind, 10 or 12 points when second unit against second unit.
Right.
And then they bring in their starters again, and if they play even with the other team, they lose by 12 points.
Yeah.
So that's where, that's why Houston has caught my eye, because they brought in, they got Nene as their power forward. They've got, a lot of good players. Eric Gordon comes off the bench, high-powered scoring 2-guard, has really improved their bench. When they come in, they're not losing much.
Right.
And so that's why teams like Boston are a good team. All these teams have a pretty good bench.
Yeah.
They're not losing much. Either they have a pretty good bench, or their starting 5 are just ultra good.
Right.
They can absorb some of the losing in the second unit comes in.
So did you make a pick here? Houston, San Antonio. Who do you think is going to win that one? Did you tell me that already, or I didn't think?
Well, I'm going to go out on a limb, and San Antonio's been there forever. They've got the experience, but I'm going to go. I'm going to go Houston.
Okay.
I'm taking Houston in a surprise pick here. I just feel as though they got something going on that is going to make them. They're a number 4 seed too.
Right.
I just have a feeling. This is more of a feeling, and I like their depth.
I think
San Antonio's old.
Yeah.
I just think that they've got some good players, but they don't have any really young players.
Right.
Kawhi Leonard has gotten better. He used to be just a slasher, and everything. Now he's a great. Of course, he's one of the top defenders too.
So in the Western Conference Finals, it's going to be Utah against Houston. Is that?
No. It's going to be. I think it's going to be Houston against Golden State.
Right.
Golden State will win that.
Right.
They'll be in the finals. Okay, over in Eastern Conference, Boston and Washington.
Right. The Washington Bullets.
Yeah. Oh, you're going to get political on me.
No.
Don't do it.
Okay.
Don't do it.
I won't.
Of course, the Wizards is so much better of a name.
I mean,
where did they get
okay,
that
drop
name?
the Bullets, and can you pick a better name than the
Why
Wizards?
couldn't they be the Washington Saints or something instead of the Wizards? I don't know. I don't like that black magic stuff. Okay. Got a break coming, but okay, we'll get into the Eastern Conference picks here in a second and break that down real quick, and then we'll talk a little Major League Baseball.
Yeah, 'cause a lot of stuff's going on.
Got some surprises
baseball.
going on there.
Yeah. Yep. You are listening to Red Zone Radio Sports here on WQBQ 1410, the voice of Lake County. We're sponsored by Bill Bryan Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram. They're located at 3401 U.S. Highway 441 in Fruitland Park. Their phone number is 352-787-2223. And if you're bored this summer, you should go and buy a car because it's probably the right thing to do. Helps the economy. And we will be right back after these messages from our sponsors. We are back. The Red Zone Radio Sports here on WQBQ 1410. And if you want to be part of the show, you can call in at 352-315-1410. We're finishing up on the NBA.
NBA Eastern Conference semis are going to be Boston and Washington. I look at Boston probably winning that in a close series. I just think they have. I'll tell you though, it's gonna be a great series. It could go either way. I'm gonna make a pick here. I'll just take Boston. I just think they're gonna win. I don't know exactly why. I just making a pick. That one there, it just could be either one.
Right.
And I'm hoping. I'm more hoping Toronto beats Cleveland, but Cleveland will probably wind up winning. But I'm rooting for Toronto because I think they could have made the right moves, but certainly that should be a much better series and close enough where they could win over Cleveland. So we'll see. I think, like I said, the pickup of P.J. Tucker and Serge Ibaka, it's really going to bode well for Toronto with the scoring of Rosen and Lowry in the backcourt. So that's where we are in the NBA.
All right.
So where are we in the major leagues? Baseball. That's what I want to talk about. What's one of the biggest surprises that you see this year? You'd have to say one of the biggest surprises this year is the Yankees.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
I mean, we were saying going into the season that the Mets had the best team in New York, but I don't know now. I'm not so sure because it's only we're just finishing the first month of the season, and we've seen teams get off to horrendous starts or fantastic starts, a la the Chicago White Sox last year.
Right.
Who looked like, wow, look at them for the first 2 months of the season, and then they faded away into obscurity.
They did.
And so we were talking all about them, and then we looked like, wow, why aren't we talking about them anymore? But when you look at the Yankees, they have such a young core of hitters and players on their team. You got Headley batting .324 at third base. And you got Castro at second base hitting .361.
Right.
I mean, who's their first baseman? Oh, Bird.
Right. Well, he's a rookie.
Oh, he's not doing quite as well as them, but he's
a rookie.
He's a rookie.
He's suffered some injuries.
How about their shortstop, Gregarious?
Yeah,
he's batting .400.
Well, he's
a platoon player.
No, he just came off an injury. So he hasn't played this season.
Okay.
So his .400 batting average is based on, I think, last night's game.
Right.
So.
But, I mean, like, everywhere you look in their lineup, Ellsbury hit .295. And
right.
Like I mentioned, and Holiday at the DH, his power numbers are starting to come to play.
Well, he hit a 3-run game-winning home run last night.
Right. Their hitters are carrying the team, and they're a well-balanced hitting team.
Yeah.
They're hitting for power and average throughout the lineup. Yeah. That's how Kansas City did it a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
But of course Kansas City had great pitchers at that team.
Yeah.
But the Yankees, they have average pitching. It's pretty good. It's okay.
Yeah, it's
Sabathia and Tanaka, and then.
Yeah, not in that order.
Not in that order. No, but you know what I'm saying.
Right.
But we mentioned the Mets in the National League.
Yeah.
I mean that's been incredible. How they're the last. I think they're the last I saw. Their batting average was .210 for the season, last in the major leagues.
Yep.
And they had some good hitters on this team, but they've had injuries, guys playing hurt, and too many home run hitters maybe. Not enough contact hitters.
Yeah.
Guys that can look like a guy like Reyes, who they were counting on to lead off, is hitting 156 for the season.
Yeah.
And they still keep playing him every day.
Yeah.
Granderson, 138.
Yeah, but like I said, Granderson's.
I know.
He I mean, this could be the year that he doesn't do it, which would be sad. But he's usually right there with 30 plus home runs and.
Right. I mean, two of the guys.
Too many streaky hitters. They're you talk about balanced.
The one guy they were going to get rid of, and they wanted to get rid of bad, was Jay Bruce.
Right.
And he leads the Mets. He's got a 284 average, and he has a bunch of home runs and RBIs.
Right.
And it's a good thing he's been on the team. They'd be, instead of 9-13, they'd be probably way worse than that.
Right.
But their pitchers have struggled too. I mean, Syndergaard's been something's been wrong with them. They lost Matz. They lost Lugo.
I think the bigger problem with the Mets right now is their relief has been atrocious, and they lost some games. A bunch of these games that
they just got Familia back.
Yeah,
but he's a scary guy when he comes out there and pitches.
Right.
He'll like last night. They loaded the bases.
Right.
In the bottom of the ninth against the Nationals, they're only up by 2 runs. I go, okay, here we go.
Well, at least Daniel Murphy wasn't up to bat when that happened.
Oh yeah, he'll automatic double off the wall or something. But yeah, it's automatic. They should never. Ever since they got rid of him. Not get rid of him, but let him go. They should have gave him a max contract. There's no doubt. He's a guy who's a late bloomer.
Right.
And he's going to be a Hall of Famer. He's going from an average. Yeah. Well, I know. Bob Wiltman just jumped off his seat on that one.
Right.
He liked that future Hall of Famer.
That's right.
But what if Murphy keeps this up?
Yeah.
Keeps hitting 350. For the next 6-7 years, he'll be a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
He's a late bloom. He was a 280 hitter before that.
Right.
Good. He's always a good contact.
Which is solid.
Yeah. That's right. But the Mets just didn't see that coming, and so they pick up Neil Walker.
It's funny. They did not like him for some reason, and he was popular with the fans. And it's like, but anyways, Neil Walker.
Neil Walker is the replacement for Daniel Murphy.
Right.
And he's hitting 215.
Right.
So your core 3 of your core guys: Walker 215, Gradison 138, Reyes 156. These are your core guys.
Yeah.
They got a kid in the minors, Rosario, number 1 prospect in the minor leagues.
Yep.
Shortstop, tearing up AAA Las Vegas. And you know why they don't bring him up. You know why? Because if they'd bring him up before June, they have to pay him. This becomes his first major league full season.
Yeah.
And they lose a year of his eligibility.
Right.
So they wait till June.
Right.
I guarantee you, if Reyes keeps hitting like this, he'll be up starting at shortstop for the Mets and leading off.
Right.
Okay? Because he's an incredible range. That's another thing. The range at shortstop, and they're missing out in center field. They don't have a true center fielder.
Right.
So defensively, in several areas, their team's been lacking. All right, enough of them. We just talked about them.
You have Atlanta, 9-12. Mm-hmm. I think their 9 wins are against the Mets.
They always kill the Mets. I don't know what it is. That's true. Yeah, the Mets are 5-3 away from home and 4-10 at home.
Yeah, it's amazing. Miami's surprising.
But the Nationals are a legit team.
Yeah.
First place team. The Mets, if the Mets can get their injury act together,
right,
and they can bring up a Rosario or something and get these pitchers so they're not hurt. They're supposed to have Matt's coming back later in the season.
Right.
So that should help. Wheeler hasn't been a total disappointment. He's coming back off of 2 years of Tommy John surgery.
Right.
Harvey's been kind of up and down. He's had his good moments. And DeGrom pitched a great game last night.
Yeah.
He struck out 10 in 6 innings.
Right.
He looked good. Syndergaard is good, but he's got some issue now, too. I don't know if they're looking at him. So they're not that far, even though they're 6.5 out, last place. If they could get their act together as far as hitting, so we'll see.
Right.
We'll see. But with that pitching staff, all they have to do is have it be an average hitting team.
Yeah.
But I think getting back to the Yankees, one of the biggest surprises I see in the major leagues for sure. Houston doesn't surprise me much at 15-8 in the they've always had pretty good pitching. They've got that shortstop and second baseman, Correa and Altuve, who are very good players.
Yeah.
Good defensive team. contact hitting, good pitch, solid pitching. Baltimore there. Boston, a little bit. They're down a little bit. Boston will probably wind up winning that division.
Yankees just spanked them.
Yeah.
So
I know. It's so early, though.
No, I know, but it's I'm just saying.
I think if you were to look at those three teams, Boston, New York, and Baltimore, Boston still looks to me to be the best team.
Yeah, I agree.
I
do.
We've only played one, not even finished 1 month of the season.
Right.
Today and tomorrow goes there.
I'm surprised Tampa Bay is 12-12.
Mm-hmm.
But
look at Chicago White Sox back in first, like they were last year. Pay no attention to them, people.
Right.
That they're going to.
That's
what they did last year.
Yeah.
So Cleveland, I think they're only a half game out. I think they'll wind up winning again that division.
Right.
Western Division, the Astros. I like the Astros. I think they definitely could win that.
Right.
I really think they'll.
Surprising me, the Angels are in second place.
Mm-hmm.
But like we've been saying, it's really early.
It's really early, guys. If you take a lot of times, you can get off to a great start,
right?
And you can go, like the Mets are 8-13. Were they 9-13?
Right.
You could have a July where you're 9-13.
Right.
9-14, whatever. Yeah. But you had a great start.
Right.
Okay. With you can absorb it, but
right.
if you see it out of the box, you go, oh, they're finished.
Well,
they're no good.
It's amazing because I'll bring up two teams: the '86 Mets and the '84 Tigers. Mm-hmm. Got out to 25-5. They were
mm-hmm.
very similar starts,
yeah.
And both of those teams played a little bit over 500 the rest of the season, mm-hmm. but
right.
finished with over 100 wins.
Right.
That's why it's amazing how
right.
It's quick start.
Sure.
And
vice versa, a team that starts bad,
right.
You got to look at that team. Do they have the talent to fight their way out of a hole?
Right.
I think the Mets do have the talent to fight their way out of this hole.
Right.
Little by little, they can creep their way back. Now, of course, they're playing the Nationals again today and tomorrow.
Right.
If they win at would one of these two games, would help their cause.
It should.
Because every time you play the team above you, it's 2 games in the
yeah.
There's a 2-game swing in the
right.
in the schedule. They could have been 8.5 back. Now they're 6.5.
Right.
Right. So the Nationals are a legit first place team in the East. The Cubs are back in first. They got off to a real slow start.
Yeah, well, Arrieta lost last night.
Lost again.
Yeah.
I think he's 1-5.
Is he?
1-4 or 1-5.
Right. I know he's having a tough time.
Yeah. Well, again, he might have a bad month, and then once Arrieta finds it, it's lights out.
Yeah.
So it's so early. St. Louis, not surprised that they're right there.
They actually surprised me. I didn't think that. Again, it's early. I just don't think that they've got the hitting or the pitching to really.
Who, St. Louis?
Yeah.
Well, they got
this
a good.
Is probably one of the best
organizations in baseball. They find a way.
Yeah, that's true.
They find a way with their management, with their manager, and their.
The only thing I think St. Louis has going for them is Milwaukee, Pittsburgh, and Cincinnati.
That's right. There you go. So they feed off of them.
Yeah, they may wind up in second place, by
right.
default.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think that they're any threat to the Cubs.
Sure. Then you got over in the West, you got Arizona, Colorado. I guess San Francisco would be a bit of a surprise.
Yeah.
Off to a bad start.
They just lost Bumgarner.
Bumgarner, that's
the All-Star
probably
break.
One of the main reasons right there.
Yeah.
You figure he's probably good for 3-4 wins by now.
Yeah.
And you add 3 more wins to the record and 3 less losses, and you're right there in the hunt.
Yeah.
So certainly.
And now he's gone till.
What a pitcher he is.
Yeah, but he's gone until after the All-Star break.
Mm-hmm.
He had that motorcycle accident, and we'll see because they're very they really haven't said definitively what his prospects are. So I mean this could be a really big blow to San Francisco.
Yeah.
On top of that,
yes.
Just speaking of
Baumgartner,
he's an incredible hitter. They were talking about him moving him to a position play.
Oh, right now since he can't pitch?
No. I mean, prior to this.
Oh, really?
No, he can't hit. He can't.
Oh,
hit.
you mean actually pitch him on his day he's supposed to pitch?
No.
And
They
then
were just talking about. I mean, he's just such a terrific pitcher. That it's hard to take him out. But.
You mean to take him completely away from
kind
being
of
a
like a
pitcher?
Babe Ruth thing?
Oh,
Not that
God.
he's a Babe Ruth, but
Really?
that he's that good of a hitter. So.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That is crazy. But I don't know. That's like Noah Syndergaard for the Mets.
Yeah.
He came up in pitch hitting situations already this year.
Right.
Of course, with that team, the way they're hitting.
Right.
But he's pretty intimidating up at the bat. 6'6", and
Right.
he swings up. He goes for the fences.
Well, wasn't it Wheeler the other night? They brought up.
Yeah,
as a
they brought
pinch hitter,
Wheeler, and I couldn't believe it.
And he hit a double.
Yeah. Yeah.
It wound up. They wound up winning that game.
Because of his
Yeah.
hit. That's right.
Yep.
That's
funny.
crazy. You're seeing that more and more. Well, there's a lot of these pitchers coming into the major leagues now are really good athletes.
Yeah.
Hey, speaking of the Mets, I know we've talked a lot about the Mets, and people around here stop talking about the Mets. I understand that.
Right.
But
Who's
here's a story involving the Mets that you might like.
All right.
Tim Tebow. Let's talk about him after the break.
Oh, okay.
Because all of a sudden he's getting hot
He's starting
in Double
to
A.
warm up.
That's right.
So
We'll
will
talk a little bit about him when we get back.
We will do a little Tim Tebow Met talk after this. You are listening to Red Zone Radio Sports here on WQBQ 1410, the voice of Lake County. We are sponsored by Bill Bryan, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, and Gem Car. They are located at 3401 U.S. Highway 441 in Fruitland Park. Their phone number is 352-787-2223. And you can give them a call, and they're waiting by their phones to help service you. We will be right back after these messages from our sponsors. We are back with We are back with the Red Zone Radio Sports on WQBQ 1410, the voice of Lake County. And we're going to do a little Tim Tebow talk.
Well, his name came up this week because he's all of a sudden tearing up the minor. Well, I don't know about tearing up, but he certainly has picked it up in the Double A team in South Carolina that he's playing for.
Right.
I think he's in the last week and a half, or last week, he's had three games with multiple hits.
Right.
No, actually with 3 hits in each game. He's hitting doubles off the wall in the gap. He's taking the extra base. In the outfield, he's diving for balls and making great catches, making great throws. He's really finding his way all of a sudden in AAA. And one of the sports announcers says, could he be moving up to AAA?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's a big that. I don't see that happening right now, but certainly maybe later this summer it could happen.
Right.
And who knows? I mean, wouldn't that be a great story?
Yeah.
I mean, and really, the way the Mets are hitting, it's kind of setting the table.
Yeah.
I mean, at least from a PR standpoint.
Yeah. Well, there's no doubt he'll be up regardless of where he is when they have the 40-man roster.
Absolutely. And wouldn't it be awesome? Like, it'd be a movie. You make a movie of this, right?
Yep.
Tim Tebow he struggles out of the box in the minor leagues in the first few weeks, and then starts hitting, then starts going crazy, hitting all kinds of hits, and then he moves to Double A. Triple A.
Right.
And starts hitting there, and then all of a sudden he's in the majors in meaningful games.
Yeah.
In September.
Right.
Leading into getting ready for the playoffs.
Hopefully.
And hopefully. Of course, this is all a movie now. Remember.
Oh, okay.
Just remember, don't get too crazy.
All right.
But wouldn't that be a great story? That'd be the story of the year in Major League Baseball.
Yeah.
I think. And I'm certainly rooting for him.
Yeah.
Because he hadn't played baseball in 12 years.
Yeah.
And now he goes in. That's an amazing thing he's doing.
It is.
I didn't think I was rooting for him, but I didn't think he'd be doing as good as he's doing right now.
Yep. He's batting, what, 246?
He was 246, but he was batting like 450
in his last
right.
6 games.
In the last 6 games. So that something's clicking with him, that's for sure. So that's why I wanted to get that off my chest about baseball, about what's going on with him. All right.
Yeah, I was not. I really didn't hold out a lot of not hope, but I didn't think he would do well, and I kind of thought it was a mistake. He should be up in Canada playing football or whatever, because I think he.
Oh, I agreed with you. I said he should hone his football skills up there.
He's starting to make me a bit of a believer here.
Oh, wherever he's been a winner.
Yeah.
Even when he was with the Denver Broncos, he may not have had the great percentages. He was, he might have been like 7 out of 15 for 180 yards or something. Okay.
Right.
And then they'd be 3 and out. Then he'd come in and he drives them down and he runs 25 yards for a touchdown.
Right.
He finds a way to win.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, when scouts look at him, they don't look at the intangibles of this guy. Like he's a winner. He's gonna find a way to win.
Right.
And he's a motivator. He gets his teammates going. They look at, what is his throwing percentage? How accurate of a throw does he make? How does he do this? And so no, we don't want him. We don't want him. But I think he could have succeeded, certainly as a backup quarterback in the NFL, and won some games for some teams with his skill level that he has, or certainly been a tight end.
Yeah.
I mean,
sure.
With his size and strength and running ability, you tell me he couldn't block and then get off shed that block, get a pass. I mean, Tim Tebow,
right.
With an opening,
20
yards from the goal line.
Here was my criticism of him. He just didn't want to do that.
That's right. I understand.
And he did the head fake with the Jets, saying he would be that he would be open to playing other positions. And when he got there, he said no. And then he did the same thing with the Patriots, and they unceremoniously let him go.
Right.
Well, I think he's had some missteps, and
sure.
But if you really want to play quarterback, and the only place to play quarterback is in Canada, I would have done it.
Absolutely. Well, I understand his motivation. Tim, being a Christian guy, is going to pray about what he's to do,
right?
Where he's to go, what he feels God wants him to do.
Right.
And he did pray, and it wasn't to be tight end.
Yeah.
And he prayed about it, and he wanted to go into major. And wouldn't that be a great story, that he prayed about it, and God blessed him, and wound up in the major leagues? That would be, to me, one of the greatest sports stories of all time.
Right.
To see that happen, I'd love to see that happen. Anyway, so what else is going on? We got the PGA Tour.
Right.
Going on, and certainly the
NHL playoffs are going on as well.
The what is? NHL?
Yeah.
That's probably the thing I know the least about, because I know my future son-in-law likes Tampa Bay Lightning.
Right.
I think they just barely scraped into the playoffs. Did they get eliminated?
Or did they? They didn't make the playoffs.
They didn't make the playoffs? Okay. I know they were on the verge. See, I'm just telling you, I didn't know.
Right.
I knew they were close to getting in.
Yeah.
But I didn't know if they had made it or not. So
no.
What can you tell me about the NHL playoffs?
Well, I'm a Ranger fan. And I would say this: NHL playoff hockey is probably the best sport. I mean, it is. It is just fast. It is relentless, and everybody pretty much has a chance. You can get a hot goaltender, you can get a hot scorer, and they can carry a team through through the playoffs.
Right.
So so I love playoff hockey.
Are we in the first round or second round?
We just got into the second round. So the Ottawa Senators beat my Rangers the other night, 2-1.
Ooh.
Yeah, it was a great game. You just talk about a great game. 40 shots on goal. Yeah. Lundqvist, who's a goalie for the Rangers, was unbelievable. He just stopped some incredible
Right.
scoring chances for Ottawa. And on the flip side, the Rangers in that game had open nets that they missed.
Right.
It was just
Mhm.
it just I don't want to say it was just bad luck.
Right.
You shoot wide or hit the post or something.
Mhm.
And then Pittsburgh
Mhm.
defeated Washington Capitals,
Right.
so they lead their series 1-0.
Well, it's nice to see a couple of Canadian teams back in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Because weren't the playoffs void of them last year?
Yeah, not one of them.
And we were talking about that
Yeah.
on our
Shots from the
online
bench.
Shots from the Bench show
Right.
that we were doing. And now you got, let's say, you got Ottawa, you got Edmonton,
Right, Edmonton leads that series,
which has a great
2-0.
history with Gretzky and all.
Yeah. Well, they've been a long time.
But can you imagine? I mean, this has been the history of Canada in the National Hockey League playoffs until last year. Not be in it last year was a incredible. I don't know if they were in it the year before that, but certainly what I know about is last year. It seems so weird not to have a team from Canada.
Yeah.
You've got teams, in there from Anaheim.
Right.
All these warm weather. Tampa Bay, I think, was in it last year.
Yeah.
Okay. The Rangers, of course, they've been in it many times.
Yeah.
But I'm saying these warm weather teams have supplanted a lot of
Nashville.
the cold weather teams, and it's kind of weird to see that.
Yeah.
But it's good to see the Ottawa and Edmonton back in it representing Canada.
Right.
Go Canada!
Well,
I'm not going to sing that.
The Canadians made the playoffs, but were eliminated by the Rangers.
Okay.
So that was fun. That was fun for me. That was a great series too. And I think like one of the best thing in sports is after the round is done, all the players go out and shake hands.
Right.
I think it's one of the greatest traditions in sports.
I think it should too. A lot of times you see the NBA players, they look at each other dirty and they walk away.
Right.
I mean, but I like to see that come back too. They do it in college basketball. Of course, baseball players, you got so many teams, and they're trying to make the. I think a lot of it they're trying to make all the sports shorter games and stuff too.
Right.
But
well, this would be after the series, not it's not every game.
Yeah.
It's so like the Rangers beat Montreal, so in the last game, they all line up.
Yeah, that's great. Well, I think after the
series,
is wonderful.
You see like in football, they'll gather up, like after a playoff game or a Super Bowl, but it's not as formal as as hockey.
Right.
But so players that don't like one another just
have to shake each hand.
Well, yeah, but I'm just saying, like in football, they'll just disappear really quickly. So it's
absolutely.
But I like that tradition.
So what are we gonna talk about here? A little bit of golf or what?
You know what? I haven't even really been following golf.
No. Well, I mean, let me just say, it's their season in the PGA. That's what I mostly follow, the PGA, not the LPGA somewhat. But the PGA, their season actually is from October to September.
Right.
They kind of add a couple of months of the year before. And certainly, Jordan Spieth just won. Of course, before we get going on that, I just want to say how happy I was for Sergio Garcia to win the Masters.
Yeah.
This month, because he's probably been said he's the best player never to have won the Masters,
right?
Or because he was the player picked to give Tiger Woods the most trouble throughout his career. I mean, we came up at the same time, and
Yep.
It was.
Speaking of golf, who was seen on the golf course in a little dating scenario?
No, who was that?
Aaron Rodgers with Kelly Rohrbach, who's
Oh.
famous for her Sports Illustrated swimsuit appearances.
Okay, well.
I just thought I'd bring that up since we're talking about golf.
You would.
Yeah.
Okay. But I know, of course, Dustin Johnson has probably won the most tournaments since last October, number one in the world. Guys that have kind of faded a little bit has been since last October has been Rory McIlroy.
Yeah.
Jason Day
Yeah.
isn't having quite the push that he had like last year.
So right now, the big event is the Zurich Classic. Is that what we're looking at, or?
Well, there's a tournament going on, in Louisiana, TPC Louisiana going on right now.
Oh, okay.
You've got the
So that's.
in June you're going to have the U.S. Open.
But the one going on right now is the TPC Classic. Is that TP Classic?
Yeah,
Right.
Zurich Classic. I
Oh,
believe
okay.
so.
All right.
Not that that's a unbelievable tournament or
No.
anything. Of course, they have all these corporate names.
Right.
I have their schedule right here. Hang on a second.
Right.
Turn to April. Okay.
So-
here we go. Yeah. So you got the Zurich Classic of New Orleans. Okay, going on right now. Next week is the Wells Fargo in North Carolina. The Players Championship is one I always like to watch.
Right.
It's TPC Sawgrass, because they always have that famous hole out in the middle of the water.
Yeah.
You see so many players hitting the water
Right.
and throwing their clubs and getting mad and everything else. Bunch of tournaments leading up to U.S. Open. The next major is in Wisconsin. And I'd like to see, I was just so happy for Sergio Garcia because, a guy that's been so close to the top and so good for so long to finally win the Masters. It was well-deserved and so happy for him that he did that.
Right.
A lot of older golfers, Justin Rose, Phil Mickelson, Sergio Garcia, they're all up around close to 40, late 30s, 40. Still very much a factor in the PGA Tour. And I think that's you're seeing that because I think they're in better shape. They work out as opposed to golfers from back in the day. And I think their workout regimen is a lot better, and that keeps them away from injuries. You can say Tiger Woods, but Tiger Woods had such a violent swing that it just took his toll on his back eventually.
Yeah.
And then he tried to change his swing and fix his back, and then that swing didn't help. So he's totally, looked like he had a possibility of coming back,
Right.
but now I have my doubts. I really do. I don't think he may never be back on the golf tour
Right.
again. It looks like this might be it. It's just one setback after another.
Yeah.
He just can't. He looked like he was ready. I mean, he came back and played halfway decent earlier this year. It was either December or January, I forget what. And looked like he was ready to start the season in January, but
Right.
had another setback.
I'm gonna make this this analogy, and I don't know if analogy is the right word, with Tiger Woods. He like they talk about CC Sabathia. He was a power pitcher,
Right.
and then that power started to fade,
Right.
and he had to readjust to being like a precision
Right.
pitcher.
Sure.
And it's dubious whether he's been able to do it, but he's been pitching a lot better the last year and this year.
Right.
And I think Tiger Woods hasn't really made that adjustment.
Right.
And you see it with some golfers when they start
Yeah.
to get older.
Sure.
Will start to make big adjustments in their game.
Well, Phil Mickelson comes to mind.
Yeah,
He did.
and I just think Tiger Woods is just still trying to power it out.
He's trying to be a power player,
yeah.
probably. Yeah. He's
he-
not going to be like these young hitters
Yeah.
on the tour, like he was. He
Right.
can't. And golf is you use a lot of torque on your back
Right.
when they're swinging the way they swing.
Right.
Like you said, why not be a player that you
Yeah.
don't have to hit it as far.
No.
There's a lot of players who don't hit it that far,
Right.
but they're excellent with their short game.
Right.
And that was one of his strengths as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
So, but
Well,
whatever.
I've said this before. I think
But I don't think it's going to happen.
I think what's ailing Tiger Woods, I think these are repercussions from steroid use.
Well,
I know you're
I don't
shaking
know.
your head now,
I have
but-
no idea about that. All I know is he's one of the top 2 players in the history of the game. A lot of players. I was watching Mark Romero speak about him the other day. He was a close friend. He thinks he's the best player of all time. That's what he said. And I give a lot of. I think Mark Romero is a very bright guy.
Well, he is,
but of course, you can't take away from Jack's 18 majors.
That's right. You are listening to Red Zone Radio Sports here on WQBQ 1410, the voice of Lake County. We are sponsored by Bill Bryan, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram. They're located at 3401 U.S. Highway 441 in Fruitland Park. Their number is 352-787-2223. We will be right back with our final segment on this very warm Saturday morning. Right after these. We are back with Red Zone Radio Sports here on WQBQ 1410, the voice of Lake County. And we're at our last segment here, so we're going to clean up whatever's left in sports. I know
being a tennis player,
right,
which I have been, tried to be anyway, over the years, I like to speak a little bit about tennis, if I could. The Pro Tour had a big announcement the last couple of weeks. Serena Williams is going to take the year off, rest of the year off, because she's going to have a baby.
Right.
Congratulations to Serena Williams. I think that's a wonderful thing. I mean, who's to say the timing is wrong? I mean, she's done everything in tennis that you could possibly done. The greatest woman player of all time. But, some people are saying, well, why couldn't she wait till like next year, get another couple of majors or something? You know? But hey, life happens, and so forth. But another thing I want to talk about is
roughly how old is she? She's got to be in her mid-30s, right?
Oh, she's upper 30s.
Yeah. So I mean, you got to say,
mid-30s, 35.
Time's running out. 36. I mean,
but great physical condition. Sure. Always a threat in any major. Certainly could win a couple more majors this year, but not now. And I understand some people are, but you know what? You got to live life. She's
absolutely.
She's in love and she's going to have a baby.
Yeah.
Congratulations to her. Having said that, something negative. Ilya Nastase, former #1 player in the world.
Right.
Used to be very entertaining at times, back in the 70s, mostly 60s and 70s. Long hair.
Well, he goes back
kind of a goofball, but sometimes entertaining.
Right.
He's the national coach for Romania. I think he's their Davis Cup captain as well, I think. But certainly their national coach made some derogatory comments about her baby, potential baby. It was really, I'm not even going to say it.
Right.
It's just was really
so
stupid.
Yeah.
No place for that.
Nope.
I mean, we talk about free speech earlier.
Right.
And we think there's a need for free speech, but there's no need for that type of speech.
Well,
and he was ultra personal and racist with his remarks. He was.
Yeah. I don't
see a place for that. There's no reason for it.
No, but when you engage in free speech, it doesn't mean that
you stop them.
Right.
Right.
But
he should be.
But then what we hold up on our end is we ridicule that kind of.
Right. That's our end.
Right.
And that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
I understand that.
Yeah, I mean,
you're right.
It was outrageous.
I don't even want to mention what he said. It's so outrageous and so stupid.
Right.
And that's the way the guy was, though. I mean, before McEnroe, he was the guy that would be yelling at umpires, throwing his racket, making the headlines for doing all that stuff like that.
Right.
And he's continued it. His hot-headedness, his stupid remarks. He really gives the sport of tennis a black eye. I mean, it's terrible too because he can be such a funny guy.
Yeah.
He has such a good sense of humor, but he has such a anger inside of him as well. And it's sad to see that he could never harness that.
Right.
He could have been. People could have looked at him in an entirely different light. Another thing I want to talk about in tennis right now is the resurgence of Roger Federer.
Right.
Roger Federer, I think, coming into the season, had not won a major in like 4 years. Had a lot of injuries and getting older. Looked like he was on the that maybe he would even retire after this season. They were saying prior to the season. I mean, this certainly hasn't done much in the last few years. He's been up in the I think he dropped to like the top 13 in the world. He was like top 3 or 4. I think he went down to the top 13 with injuries and not playing tournaments. And certainly looks like Federer was on his way out. Well, after his injury of last year, he developed. He has the best backhand in tennis. He has the best backhand in tennis, and it became better. He improved his backhand. He improved it. So now he's won. He's played. I think he's played three or four tournaments. He's won 3. He won, of course, the Australian Open, his first major in 4 years. So all these guys like were creeping up on him, like Nadal and others were creeping up on him. Djokovic, getting a little bit closer. Now he's padding his lead, and now he looks like the favorite going in. He may be skipping the clay court season. He doesn't look like there's a lot of these warm-up tournaments like the Hungarian Open, the Barcelona Open, and all these different, Istanbul, all these tournaments that are on red clay. Then they'll have the Italian Open, and then they get ready for the let me not forget the German Open. Getting ready for the French, which is in May. Right. I don't know if he's going to be playing that or not. That's not his goal, I don't think. It's a grueling, long match. After each point is so long on clay and so forth and so on. And I think his sights are set on Wimbledon. He's certainly got to be one of the favorites now to get that as well. And then the U.S. Open, if he keeps healthy, and with this new backhand, he could be. He's definitely going to move right back up into that top 4 or 5, right? And be so. It's good to see Roger, who they were kind of saying, okay, he's fading away into obscurity, be back into the top, being mentioned at the top. He's beaten Nadal, who's been playing well 3 times already this year. So so good for him. That's all I want to talk about as far as tennis goes. But the Nastase thing is just stupid. Yeah. This plain stupid. How about you? You got a rant? Anything that you wanted to? Well, you were thinking of something.
No, but it's pretty much a constant annoyance with the way baseball's changing their rules and stuff with the intentional walk. Comes again.
Yeah, it kind of catches you by surprise, doesn't it? I'm watching the game. I forgot about the rule,
and then all of a sudden the guy's on first.
Yeah, I didn't see any pitches being thrown, and they walk up. The pitcher walks up. I guess there's some sort of gesture or something. Yeah. Which if you may or may not pick up, you have to. All of a sudden the guy's walking to first. You're going, what's going on? Right. What happened? Was there a? Oh, yeah, that's right. It looks kind of stupid.
It does. And what I find appalling is, there's a guy, he could be on second or he could be on third.
Right. And the guy could miss the throw. Yeah. Or drop the ball. Yep.
And it happens more often than people think.
That's right. I've seen it happen many times. Yep. I've seen a guy throw a ball right past the catcher. Yep. I've seen him hit one on the ground and the guy's going to third. Yep. Absolutely. It takes that possibility away.
Yep. And, And the defenders of it will go, well, it's gonna, it's pace of the game. Well, no, it's not. That's not pace of the game. That what do you save? A minute? In 2.5 hours, which would be considered a short game, you're saving a minute, maybe 2 minutes.
I don't understand. Correct me. They don't like these 2.5 hour games. Or how long is the average game?
Well, a lot of them, I don't know what the average game is, but a lot of them hit around the 3 hour mark.
Okay, so we'll go sit and watch a football game for 3 hours. Right? Yeah. A basketball game for probably 3 hours. You get halftime. Halftime's pretty long in the NBA.
Is it?
Yeah. So, what's the big deal? I mean, is it really that long? I mean, if it was 4 hours or something, I would say. I don't think baseball game is really that long. It doesn't seem that long to me.
Yeah, not to me either. The thing that annoys me though is like 3-minute commercial breaks. That's to me that's the pace of the game to me. It's not what's happening during the inning that other than batters constantly stepping out and adjusting their gloves and stuff. I mean, they've done a little bit, but
Yeah.
with that, but now they've faded away from that.
Mm-hmm.
So, keep the guy in the batter's box, and that's pace of the game. These 3.5 minute commercial breaks every inning is terrible.
Yeah.
That's what slows down those games. It isn't really what the players are doing. It's not intentional walks.
Right.
I mean, there are plenty of games where there's no intentional walks ever. So you're going to save, a minute once in a while. So it's like
That's true.
it's like.
Right. Any other rule changes you don't like?
I'm not a big fan of the any kind of replay.
Really?
I'm just so done with replays. As a videographer, angles, on video don't always show, the correct. It doesn't always solve the problem. Sometimes it does, yes.
Yeah.
But what you have to come to the realization is how often these umpires are right on the money, even in these super bang bang plays, and then they slow it down a super slow motion, and you just say, "Oh, well, the umpire was right." When you looked at it, from your vantage point, it looked like the guy was out.
Right.
And then when you see it, it's like, oh no, he was safe, or whatever they try to turn over. And I also think you talk about pace of the game, that slows it down to a because they get 2 shots, they get their 2 shots during the game.
Right.
One thing I've noticed is they're taking those 2 shots, so that slows down the game.
Right. Did you see this past week? I saw the most incredible, the best. The absolute best baseball play I have ever seen.
Are you talking about the dive?
Well, I was talking about the Blue Jays and who were they playing?
I think it was the Cardinals, wasn't it?
Yes. Let me just double check.
Yachty or
well, the guy hits for Toronto, hits a ball out to the outfield. The guy hits off the wall.
Right.
Guy picks it up. He's running round in third. The ball thrown in.
Right.
And Molina's waiting for him, 10 feet from the plate on the third base line. And what's Toronto's Chris? What was his name? Chris Coughlin. He jumps over the top of him and does a complete flip, lands on the plate, and scores. I couldn't believe it. Yeah. It's the greatest baseball play. If you've never seen it, look it up. It's the greatest baseball play I've ever seen.
Right.
Not only did it have so much action, it had the hit, it had the guy catching it off the wall, the great throw to the plate, Molina blocking the plate, and then he dives over and does a complete flip. How he didn't kill himself, I don't know. You wouldn't even think about doing that, right?
No.
Not with a flip, and he actually touched the top of him, I think.
Yeah.
But you have to make the tag.
Sure.
And so it's the most incredible play I've ever seen. Toronto, I don't know where they were playing, but it was Toronto and St. Louis.
Right.
Where they were playing, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't remember either. But yeah, you need to look it up.
It's well worth it.
In fact, what I'll do is I'll post that video on the Facebook page.
Cool.
So, yeah, because it's fun.
Right.
Most people have probably already seen it who are interested in sports because it's been.
Yeah, I tell you, it's the best thing I've ever seen. Another rule change I think has been good in sports that came up this past week. I know we don't have too much more time, and that is the PGA Tour came out with a rule that you can no longer phone in what you see on a replay.
Right.
And you can no longer see what you see on a replay.
Right.
And make that tell an umpire.
Right.
It winds up to an umpire or a judge, and they make a ruling and give a guy a penalty.
Yeah.
It has to be by the human eye.
Right.
If one of their spotters or one of their judges or whatever on the course don't see it, or another player doesn't point it out or whatever, I think it's just the judges. Right. If it's not done by human eye, then it can't be done.
Well,
good for them.
They're smart. Yep.
I
like that.
That's the way it should be done.
Because
that was an outrage.
Yep.
That happened.
Right. Yeah, and it's silly to come back like the next day. I mean, because they were talking about like
I don't know if that was the
they-
PGA, the
they-
LPGA, by the way. I think it might have
it
been
was the LPGA.
LPGA, yes.
But it was like the scorecards are signed.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it's in the books,
Mm-hmm.
and then they come back and go, "Oh, sorry, we're
Remember-
taking 2 strokes away from."
Remember
you."
last year, one of the PGA players was told on a later hole that
Yeah.
you have a 2-stroke penalty
Yeah.
against you?
Yep.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, oh my goodness. That's crazy.
Yeah, they had
I
to-
forget the exact
Yeah,
incident.
they had to wait while they were making this decision, and he
Right.
was going on playing.
Playing, and how should he be playing? Should he be
Right.
playing more aggressive, more
Right.
tenttively?
Right.
It affected
And everybody else.
Right.
It
Everybody
affects everybody on that. And it just, make
Right.
make
And
the
how should we
decision.
play
Right.
around him?
Right.
That's
that's-
crazy.
I know a
But,
lot of people were upset about that.
Well, at least some sports are starting to see some things that are wrong and making them right.
Right.
So
Well, unfortunately, baseball's going in the wrong direction in my view. But.
maybe so. Maybe so.
Well, I want to. We probably have another minute or two, but I wanted to thank you for coming in.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for having me.
You're,
Appreciate it.
You're always
Hope
welcome.
it wasn't too boring.
No, you did great. You did great. It was
Yeah.
a lot of fun.
Gonna go.
Gonna
Gonna go look at a car
Are you?
this afternoon. Yeah.
Gonna go look at any motorcycles?
I try to look in the Bible sometimes to find out where I'm going to find a car. Because it says in the Bible that they were all in one accord. So.
All right. On that note, Ralph is in the house. Stay tuned for River Jordan and Friends, and we want to thank you for spending a couple hours with us on this Saturday. And we will see you next Saturday. Bob Wiltman is on vacation, so he won't be back next week either. So we'll have either Bob back, or if he doesn't want to do it, we'll find somebody, I'm sure. We appreciate you coming in. You're listening to Red Zone Radio Sports here on WQBQ 1410, the voice of Lake County. We are sponsored by Bill Bryan Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram. They're located at 3401 U.S. Highway 441 in Fruitland Park. Their number is 352-787-2223. And we will see you next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. And stay tuned for Ralph with River Jordan and Friends.